Hey guys. So today today's a very big day for me. Today is the 5-year anniversary that I was life flighted. I was life flighted 5 years ago. I had a infection that went up into my kidney, it caused a blockage, and it caused me to go sepsis. This was quite the shock to me. I was at my healthiest point in my life, and yeah, I basically got sick within 3 days. I was knocking on death's door. I was life flighted. I barely made it to the hospital. But today I was just, I was kind of thinking about it. I don't think about it all the time, but I feel that it's good to kind of remember where I was that day and also like how far I've come, but also why I do what I do. Why I live my life to the fullest. Why I don't give a fuck with what anybody thinks. Because that day, nothing else mattered except for getting through the day. That day, it didn't matter what was going on in my life nothing mattered. What mattered is that I survived. And it really changed my perspective for my life moving forward. I've been in a lot of different surgeries and setbacks and shit that has really put me behind by months and honestly up to a year at one point. Stuff that has literally taken time from me being able to live out my life. So from that day forward, I try to live my life to the fullest. And I just go hard in the paint as much as I possibly can because I can. Because I wake up every day and I have that opportunity to be able to do that. And I feel that a lot of people have lost sight of that or they lose sight of that over time. All they want to do is just complain about their situation or life. And instead of just getting out there and getting after it and living life and chasing after stuff, they just want to complain about their situation or what they could have instead of getting out there and saying, you know what? Yeah, maybe I will go after that. They just want to complain. And I feel that once you go through a situation like that, it changes your whole perspective that life is short and we only get one life. And honestly, it can all come crashing down. Shit can hit the fan in seconds. And I saw that day how fast shit can hit the fan. Honestly, it changed my life from that point forward. I lost a kidney out of it. I had a drain in my kidney for over 6 months. And it did change my life. But also, it made me want to make sure that I focus on my health more and that I appreciate life more every day. And I've always done this, but I've always understood that there is always somebody out there that has it worse off than I do, and that I need to appreciate my life and appreciate the things that I have. I go to bed every single night and I thank God for what I have. Even after everything I've gone through this last year, I went through a divorce, a year ago almost. And honestly, I'm grateful for it because it has allowed for me to rebuild. I get to build a new life. I get to build a new me. And I have done that. I have built a new me. And I've learned so many lessons in my life that honestly, a lot of people I feel that don't get to learn that. Or if they do go through something like that, they go right back into making the same mistakes. And I feel that I have been given the opportunity to be able to look at my life and reevaluate of is this where I want to be or where do I want to be in 5 years and to really focus on that. And it's allowed for me to do that alone and think on it. I haven't rushed in trying to be in a relationship with anybody. I'm just focused on me. Obviously, the right girl comes along, sure, but um, I've been focused on building a better life and a better me. I've done that. And to be honest, I was kind of slacking off here last like 3 weeks because I'm a very goal driven kind of person, and when I see a goal in front of me, I lock onto it and I set my sights on it. But also, what happens? I'll get inspired by something, and I'll switch. I'll switch to another goal. It doesn't happen often to me, but something like powerlifting, I'm so passionate about it. I love doing it. I love benching, and I've made it my goal to bench in a new lowest weight class. And I kind of lost sight of where I was with my tracking my weight and stuff. And I wasn't like I haven't changed any like my lifting. I still lift every day, but I noticed that I started backing off on the cardio just so I could try to feel better for benching. But also, I realized that I got further away from that weight loss goal, and I need to change what I'm doing again in order to reach that goal. And yes, it sucks. I hate doing cardio twice a day, and I hate really having like eating in a low calorie deficit just because like it really like screws with my bench. Some days I feel like complete shit, but I've given myself like I have 4 weeks to reach that goal, or 4 weeks, 6 weeks. I have 6 weeks to reach that goal. And today was a good day to remember that. I was going through my Facebook memories. I like going through my memories just so you never know what you're going to see on there. I see a lot of lifting memories and racing memories. I love looking at stuff like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember going to that. So I was looking on there, and I saw a post on there. It was basically somebody had tagged my name on there. It was prayers, and right then and there, I remembered what that day was. I'm like, okay, that was the day that was life lighted. And honestly, it put everything into perspective. Everything I've been like yesterday, I was kind of thinking like, man, you're kind of fucking up, bro. Like, I'm pretty hard on myself when it comes to failing, or if I feel that I'm falling behind at something, I become really hard on myself, and I try to be my own worst critic, just because no one else is going to do it for me. So if there's something in front of me that I want, you have to go after. And I think honestly that came from being disabled. Growing up, I had to figure things out on my own because in my life and during that time there wasn't a lot of people like me. It's not like the internet was real big then, and we didn't have cell phones back then. So the things I was going through as a kid with a physical disability, I had to figure out on my own. And I've kind of lived with that idea my entire life that I have to figure things out, which is a good mindset. I mean, obviously there's pros and cons to it. Sometimes I'm a little too hard on myself, but in this situation, I'm like, nah, man, you're fucking up. Straighten your ass up. Like, you need to get your ass back on that bike and ride. I'm doing a 5K in 2 weeks, which I've done way more than 5Ks. I think the most I've rode was like 35 miles. I've done 50 miles using my bike and my chair in a course of 48 hours when I did the Goggins challenge. But if I know I have something coming up, I'm like, dude, you better, I want to do the best I possibly can do. So I'm like, you better get back on that bike. Not that my cardio is bad or anything, but I'm like, there's always room for improvement. So I'm like, okay, I need to get back on the bike, and it would help my weight loss goal. So I'm like, let's get after it, baby. Like, it's grind time. So, I rode this morning. I did almost 4 miles. I did just over 4 miles this evening. I lifted. So I'm like, okay, we're back on track. We're back where we need to be. And I'm still focusing. Like, I'm trying to keep my strength as much as I possibly can, but also I'm like, you set this goal. I set this goal for myself back in, I think it was back in September, is when the weight loss really started. And I was like, what if I kept going? What if okay, I was 160 at one point. I was 155. I'm like, okay, what if I go, like, just go hard, man. Just go after it. Take this time to really, really work on myself. And through that process, not only has it developed me physically, but also mentally, because I wake up every single day now. And I mean, I've always had a passion for lifting weights, but now I just do it. I just do the damn thing. Like, it has become such a routine that it would feel weird if I didn't go to the gym. It's become to the point where it's now addiction. I'm actually addicted to going to the gym. And honestly, like, I made a Facebook post this morning about this. One of the big issues I have, and honestly, this is why I backed it off on all the biking that I was doing, because when I put something in front of me as a goal, I get to the point where I become addicted to that, to the point that it actually will start to hurt me. It'll negatively impact my life. Like, I was lifting 2 hours a day. I was doing sometimes an hour on my bike, plus sometimes 30 minutes on my ski machine. So in combination, I was almost doing 4 hours a day. It was to the point that I could barely get out of bed. I mean, I still was training, but like my shoulders were in so much pain that couldn't get myself in my truck. I had to use my chair lift to get in my truck, and it reached a point where I realized that I was negatively impacting my life to the point that I'm like, this is no longer fun. And obviously, life isn't always going to be fun, but also like I've tried to instill in myself to always enjoy the process. And I realized that no matter what, I was not enjoying that process anymore. And it was wearing me down mentally as well. I was still doing it, I was just showing up, but I was like a robot. I just did it. But it was to the point that I'm like, okay, I need to change something because at that time I was working three jobs, three fucking jobs. And it was hard. I was averaging between 62 hours and 70 hours a week, plus working out 3 to 4 hours a day. And so that meant there were some days, like my Fridays consisted of, let's see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 to 14 hour days. I would go home, I'd get in bed by 10:30 because I had to get back up to work my third job in the morning I had to be at that job at 5:30 is when we would start. So that meant I had to wake up early enough that I could get my training in. And Saturday mornings I wasn't typically biking just because I was focused more on lifting and I had a shorter amount of time, but I was lifting and then I was going to work and working until 11:30, and then I had 30 minutes to get to my second job and work until from noon to 5 p.m., sometimes later. And then I would do it all again the next day. So there was periods of time where I didn't have a day off, and it was really starting to impact me mentally because I started to like really question. I'm like, why am I doing this? I started to lose my purpose. And at that point, I was like, okay, something's got to change. And luckily, I got a work from home position. I switched jobs, so I was no longer having to go to my primary job, and that really helped. But I was like, okay, this is good. We're going in the right direction. Um, but then I felt like I was going the other way too much. So that's where I'm making changes. So what I want you to gather from this is, first off, appreciate what you have, and try not to complain so much. I really, something that I feel that I've gotten really good at is I don't complain about stuff like I used to. Um, I've always felt that I've always been pretty grateful for everything I have, but I know sometimes it's easy to get the poor me bullshit or let stupid shit in your life get you down and just complain about it and let it bother you. But focus on what's really important. Focus on your life. Focus on like your goals. Like, don't worry about what everybody else is around you is doing. Just like it's crying time, baby. Like, focus on yourself and put everything you have into a goal, whether it be a physical goal or a job or maybe working on your relationship, whatever it may be. Focus on that and don't let anybody around you stop you from doing that goal. This last year, I've had so many people try to give me input on what I should do. And it's made me laugh because I'm like, you're not in my situation. You don't know. And obviously, you can give and take, what people tell you. And, obviously, I think it's good to hear what people have to say, but also, like, it reaches a point where if you're not going through that situation, you really can't speak on it. Or if it's something that that person has never dealt with, it's kind of hard for them to give you advice and like for it to be solid advice for you to take and apply to your own life. So, you know, ignore the naysayers. And like I will say, a lot of people thought I'm crazy, which is funny because people will tell you to work on yourself, especially when you go through like something terrible, like a divorce, or they'll tell you to work on yourself. But the moment you start working on yourself, then they're like, "Yo, you're doing too much," or they almost make fun of it. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I'm doing exactly what you said to do." Even though like that's the type of person I am. I've always said that that's where I turn to focusing on myself. I turn to the gym. But they want to they give you mixed opinions on what you should or shouldn't be doing. So at the end of the day, just fuck them. Like, do you, man? Focus on your life. Focus on what you're doing, and don't let anybody deter you from going after it. Because everybody's gonna have an opinion, and especially the ones that have never even done a damn thing or have never even gone through some real shit. I had to cut out. I cut out a couple people this last year because like they were just running their mouth so much to me, and it got to a point that I'm like, are you really my friend? Or it just reached a point where I'm like, you're just being negative at this point, and I don't really like, do you actually give a shit what I'm trying to tell you? Like, I would bring situations to them and just somebody to talk to, and they would almost like throw it in my face like they didn't give a shit. In a way, it was really strange. So just be prepared to have to cut people out of your life when you're going through shit like this, or you're focused on something, because not everybody is a true supporter. And I've had to learn that the hard way. And, honestly, even some of the closest people to you, you will find that they're not truly a supporter. So don't forget that, and just be prepared to do it alone, because you never know. You might not have any support. I've been there before. So be prepared to go forth on a journey yourself, because it's going to be tough. It's not easy. Um, I will say that like being on my own has its pros and cons. Like, I'm able to focus on me. I'm able to focus on everything I'm doing and no distractions, but also there's nobody there to talk about it. So, at the end of the night, when you come home, there's nobody to talk to. So, it definitely has its pros and cons. But yeah, and I say this all the time, but it's important to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, there's that saying, you know, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. I'm a big believer in that. I joke around with people about that all the time, but at the end of the day, there really is value in that, because if you don't set a plan up, how do you plan on succeeding if you don't have a plan? And obviously, like, you can reach success by just going after something, but you will have a lot better success rate if you put a plan in place and stick to that to the best of your ability. Obviously, life is going to happen, but have a plan and stick to it as much as you possibly can. You might have to make changes to it, but just be prepared to adapt to it. That being somebody with a disability, and other people out there with disabilities could really relate to this. We have shit happen to us all the time, and that includes bathroom problems. As weird as it sounds, might have to change the plan real quick. So just be prepared to have to make changes in your plan, because you never know um, what shit might happen. Or I've had like wheelchair cushions go flat on me. I don't think it's ever happened on my bike, which thank God, because that would suck. But I've had wheelchair cushions go on me, like working out and stuff, and that shit sucks, because my cushion that means you're sitting on the actual chair itself, and you're sitting probably almost 3 inches lower, which can really change things. It could change your transfers. It could change, if you're doing like pull ups, or if you have to get weights down, or if you got to transfer into a vehicle, like I have my truck I transfer into. If I don't want to get the lift out, I have to lift myself up into the truck, which makes it harder if your cushion's flat. So just be prepared to make changes in your plan, because it's going to happen. And don't let those changes get you down. Just have a positive attitude as much as you possibly can, and keep pushing forward, baby. That's what it's all about. Just keep pushing forward. That's what the big thing about this podcast is I want people to at least take from this to, if you don't have motivation, I hope this motivates you some. Or if you are a self-driven person, I hope this helps you, want to chase after those goals more, man, because this last year has been, I have continued to say 2026 is my year. And I have done everything in my power to make sure that it's my year. And I've had setbacks. My truck got hit by a deer back in October, and it cost me a lot of money. And that was a hell of a setback. I've had injuries throughout the year, um, job changes, added jobs. So there's been some real ups and downs this past year, bills that I didn't want to get, but nothing is stopping me from chasing after those goals and achieving my goals. So get out there and get the fuck after it, baby. It's grind time. Let's go.